and welcome to the Flix Forum podcast, where each episode we go back and we look at a Netflix original film in the order of release. This episode we have Netflix 238th film from 2020. It's the romantic comedy The Lovebirds, directed by Michael Showalter. It stars Kumail Nanjiani, Issa Rae, Paul Sparks, Anna Camp, and Kyle Bornheimer. I'm Jesse, and I am here solo for this one. If you want to check this film out, haven't heard of it, keen on it, go do that now. Give us a pause, come back later, because I'm going to spoil this one and kick off with the Fast Flicks, where we do a quick summary of what the film's all about. So this one is about a couple on the verge of breaking up. They need to spend more time together to exonerate themselves from a crime that they didn't properly commit. All right, this one's got a bit of a good story, because this film, The Lovebirds, was scheduled to have its world premiere at the South by Southwest Festival on March 14th, 2020, where the cast and crew were going to appear, but they cancelled the appearance and the festival eventually because of the COVID pandemic. So then what was going to happen was going to be scheduled theatrically by Paramount Pictures on April 3rd of 2020, but it was removed from the release schedule due to COVID, and then they decided, hey, we want to get rid of this film. They sold it to Netflix, and that's how it ended up on Netflix. Netflix, I think, seemed pretty happy with this, because the film was the top streamed item on Netflix in its debut weekend, before falling to 5th in the second week. But in November of 2020, later in the year, Variety reported that the film was the 10th most watched straight-to-streaming title of 2020 up to that point. So pretty good information there on how many people actually saw this film. This film had a tagline. The tagline for this one was, "All they wanted was a quiet night out." I like that tagline. I don't mind it, actually. It's a pretty good one, because they were never going to have a quiet night, even if this didn't happen, because they were arguing the whole time anyway. Translations around the world for this one. So in Brazil, it's called A Crime for Two. Sure. In Greek, it's called The Pizzas. Have no idea where or why or how that mistranslated so poorly. In Hungary, it's called In Love, in Crime. Don't mind that one. That one's not bad. In Ukraine, it's called Pigeons. So they've literally taken the word bird and called it pigeons. And finally, in Vietnam, it's called Love is a Sin. That's a bit heavy for what this film is, I think, because this does try to get you to laugh throughout. This did hit Netflix on the 22nd of May, 2020. Had a budget of about 16 million. So that's not too, it's in that mid-range budget for a comedy. It's filmed in and around New Orleans, Louisiana, from January to February of 2019, and was actually nominated at the People's Choice Awards for Favourite Comedy Movie, Favourite Comedy Star for Issa Rae, as well as her for Favourite Female Movie Star. All right. Critics, audiences, what are they saying? Rotten Tomatoes sits at 66% on 179 reviews, so that is just fresh. Audience a bit lower at 51%. That's on more than 1,000 ratings. IMDb, similar sort of thing, 6.1 out of 10 on 27,000 ratings. And Letterboxd, a lot more people have got on there and logged it. It's at a 2.8 out of 5 on nearly 54,000 ratings, but it's actually been logged by 75,000 people. So, middle of the pandemic, people stuck at home, new film to watch. Obviously, people watched it. That leads me to my early thoughts for this one. I enjoyed this. The moments throughout the film of the couple slowly refinding or rekindling their love for each other were done really nicely, quite well. But mainly because of the performances from the two leads. They were so believable as a couple, and that's why I like this one. And there were a few good laughs. So let's look at these characters, because realistically, it's a character of, they are two characters in love, and we've got Leilani, she's the advertising executive. She wants to live life to the fullest, and she wants her boyfriend Gibran to take more risks, and this is where we sort of see them arguing to start off with. She's a little bit obsessed with her social media, but she wants to challenge herself, not necessarily to settle down, because I'm not sure she believes in marriage and things like that, but the idea of doing something like The Amazing Race, putting yourself out there, challenging yourself, they're the sorts of things she wants. And then whereas we've got Gibran on the other side, is this sort of focus on his work. He's a documentarian who thinks that everything should be planned and scheduled right down to the moment. And, he has these insecure feelings where he doesn't think he's up to Leilani's standards, and sort of feels jealous a little bit of her co-worker, this guy called Keith, who we see in this film a little bit too. But he's not really worthwhile talking about. The only other character is this guy called Mustache, who's this corrupt cop who's chasing the two throughout the film. So really, it's about these two characters and their adventures along the way in trying to clear their name, I guess, of a crime that they didn't actually commit anyway. The director for this one, Michael Showalter, he's got 29 writing credits. A lot of comedy, things like Wet Hot American Summer, and then as a director, some big films too. The Big Sick, which same similar sort of cast, as well as The Eyes of Tammy Faye, which got a little bit of award recognition a couple of years ago. Scenes. What are some scenes that stood out in this one that I enjoyed? I think Leilani and Gibran, like, they're having this break-up argument in the car. It's right near the start of the film, and they hit this guy on a bike. It was just funny. It made me laugh. And then this moustache guy, who's this corrupt cop, sort of gets in the car and says, "Quick, let's chase him." And then when they find him, this cop guy sort of reverses backwards and forwards over him multiple times. So that made me laugh again as well. They use a Lyft quite a bit, like a Uber share driving service, quite a bit in the film. And at one stage, they sort of get picked up by one, and they have this argument because Gibran has his default setting as sharing with others and picking others up a share ride, and this other couple get in, and then Leilani just sort of goes off at them. That was funny. And this is more than just one scene. This is the gentle connections throughout the film of them as a couple, as they identify what they like about each other and where they're going as a couple. I thought that was really well done. Finally, a couple more. Gibran and Leilani, they have to get this Keith guy that we obviously know there's a little bit of issues about in their relationship, to sort of hack into this phone, this dead guy's phone that they've got, and the two of them together put together this random story about why they're so beat up and why they're bleeding, because he's a boxer now and he's got brain injuries and he can't remember the passcode and he needs to call a doctor, but the doctor's number's in the phone. That was just really well done. Finally, towards the end, throughout the film, they talk about cigarette lighters in cars, and Leilani uses the cigarette lighter from the car to sort of help escape, and she uses her mouth and her tongue to sort of get it out of the car because she's tied up. It was gross and funny. And then this follow-up where she shoots a gun, just sort of makes a stance. That was cool too. Things I didn't like. I think, like, Gibran, he makes a reference at some stage about the two of them sort of solving crimes and saying they're not Hobbs and Shaw. I think that reference doesn't work. It's a bit of a not a great reference. Maybe Bonnie and Clyde would be a bit more memorable. Gibran and Leilani, they get tied up by this chick called Edie, and her moves are to threaten to pour bacon oil on them, or to be kicked by a horse. Just didn't find either of those situations funny. And then finally, the whole big climactic Illuminati/orgy scene in a theatre, that just didn't land for me. Won't say much more about that. That might be funny for some people, just wasn't for me. What's this film trying to say? Some themes, some ideas. It talks about love, like the difficulties of love, the arguments you have, the disagreements, but also the other side, like the teamwork that you need, the good communication you need, the openness in a relationship, and the idea of taking risks for love too. I like that idea. And this was good through representation too. I mean, we've got this non-white couple in America, and they do make little small jokes and mentions throughout about, which were done quite well with humor, about, the situation in America with non-whites. So I thought that was really well done too. All right, what did I take away from this one? I think, hopefully this film, like, I know at that stage where we were in the world, cinemas couldn't be open, but hopefully this would have worked well in a cinema. Like the joint experiencing of watching this film with others would have encouraged more laughter, I think, and good laughter. And from memory, this is prior to Paramount putting together their service of Paramount Plus, because I think realistically it would have been a no-brainer for them to keep this and use this for their service. Okay. IMDb. We sometimes have a section where we jump on IMDb to check someone out. This was just for confirmation for me. I spoke about the character Edie before. She's played by Anna Camp. I just wanted to check that she was from True Blood, because I was like, she is from True Blood. And she was, so I'm happy with that. All right, question time. Any questions that I wanted to ask or discuss, or statements? And I think I mentioned before, The Amazing Race is sort of like, it's played as a joke in this. And there's a scene in the post-credit scenes with that too. But would you be able to do The Amazing Race yourself? I honestly couldn't. I'm such a stressful traveler. Travel for me, especially through airports and things like that, customs, using passports, I freak out, and I always want to be organized, do it early, check in as early as possible. So I would not be able to handle a show like The Amazing Race, that's for sure. All right, ready to wrap this up, I think. We give the film a rating out of 5. For me, like I said, I think I did enjoy this film, and for what this is, it's done well. And the two performances, they keep you engaged. You believe them as a couple. Not all the jokes land. That's okay, because the heart that's sort of sown throughout this film makes it worth the while, worth the ride. So I'm giving this a 3 out of 5. We're on socials. We've got Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Give us a follow. Give us a like if you can. Question I wanted to put there this week was, have you ever shared a drive share service with like random people like we see in this film? I couldn't think of anything worse than sharing an Uber with a couple of randoms, because not only do you have to have like that awkward conversation with the driver, but then you've got extra people in the car that you ignored, you communicate with. Couldn't think of anything worse. But anyone got a good story, let us know. We're back next week for another Netflix original film. This one is the next one released by Netflix, but it's actually a 2019 film. It's the Mexican Spanish language film I'm No Longer Here, or Ya no estoy aquí. It's directed by Fernando Frias de la Parra, and it stars Juan Daniel Garcia Trevino, Yahir Olde, and Angelina Chen. Interested to check that one out. Let's see what it's like next week. Join me then. Thanks for joining me now, and I'll speak soon.